Cancer, hello, and welcome to your Spring 2023 Shapeshift reading. We're looking at the shape you're shifting out of, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shapeshift looks and feels like for the spring season. I'm Andy, I'm your reader, and today I am joined by the Energy Archaeology Oracle by Ashley Stinson. I love this deck because it's incredibly somatically focused, and by that I mean like focused on the body. And the energetic, physical experiences that we have as humans with bodies. And specifically, this deck focuses on the bones. And when I think about the spring season, I'm imagining like bones creaking to life after the winter season. So that's what's brought me to this deck. I'm really excited to use it. So far, it's reading really beautifully and really deeply, which is no surprising. So it's not surprising since it's getting into your very bones. So Cancer, I already feel this, like before we even pull cards, I just feel this need to extend some compassion. So I don't know if there's some stuff that you've been going through. I know last season's reading for you, the winter 2022-2023 shift reading was like, it was called Wake Up, and it was like talking about a wake up call, and maybe some of that energy felt a little harsh. And yeah, I just want to extend a little compassion, especially if you've been going through it. And I just want to be like, hey, Cancer, it's okay. You know, it's all right. You know, whatever happened over the winter season, like, it's okay. For what it's worth. Okay, let's look at your shapeshift this spring. Okay, that's nice. Too many. Can't have them all falling out at once. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Oh. Yeah. Check it out. Rest, transition, creation. I mean, look at this. Let's start with this rest card. Like, if this ain't some Cancer energy. Actually, let's just look at all three together. So it does feel like you're shifting out of maybe a more restful period into a more creative, actively creating period. The rest is signified by the palatine bone here. And then we have transition as the axis vertebrae. And then creation being shown as the pelvis. So we are going to read a little bit from the guidebook, but just already, you know, we have this very Cancerian energy of the clamshell opening up and revealing the pearl inside. And sometimes we need to find stillness and rest in order to discover the pearl, so to speak. And so that is what this feels like to me, is just this time of discovery, perhaps over the winter, where you have been a little bit more still, prioritizing rest, and some kind of discovery has come out of that. And then you have to make this maybe a little bit uncomfortable in some ways transition from that restful state into creation. So it's not actually all that easy to make that shift, even if it does feel good to like get some of your energy back. It's not always super slick. Let's put it like that. And Cancer, there is this like mental focus, because we've got the bones of like the face and the bones that hold up the base of your skull showing up. as you transition into the pelvis, that's a huge shift from like the top of your body, your palatine bone, which is like part of your skull facial structure, and then like the axis, which helps along with the atlas hold your head up and gives you this rotation point in which you can like move your head around and see the world. And then we drop into the pelvis here in this shape shift where you are accessing the energy of creation, like this, the parts inside of you that want to build something, that want to bring something out into the world. And so I think it is like a very active shift, but over the course of the spring, you might be experiencing this as a dropping in your body. Let's read a little. Let's look at rest. Close yourself to the outside for a while and nourish your own rhythms. Here you can find the pulse of your life. And Cancer, it sort of feels like that's where you have been. I mean, like, listen, take this as some advice. If you need to like go within and find your own pace again, then it's important for you to go ahead and do that. Let's read a little. What do I want to say about the palatine bone? Well, I guess I just can't really ignore that, like, the palatine is sort of, it's like nasal cavity, orbital cavity. And then even though in the transition card, it's focusing primarily on the axis, which is one of these bones back here at the base of your skull, at the top of your cervical spine, that helps you rotate your skull. There's these like, there's a really strong energy flow through the orbital cavity, you know? So there's some sort of really strong link here that like part of your restful space is like where and how you transition. And it has to do something with like the senses, because we have the nasal cavity, the orbital cavity, like how you are sensing and how you are seeing is some sort of, it's of importance for how you transition into a creation space down into the pelvic region. And like, think about this. The creation can mean a whole lot of different things for you. Maybe it literally means like making something or making someone and bringing that into the world. Maybe it's just like putting that focus, your focus on that area of the body where you like generate life force, your own life force. You know, that's where you find your heat. That's where you find your excitement, your pleasure, your desire. All of the things needed to like generate energy for creation. Some of you, this might be like dropping out of your head and down into your like sexual energy, or, you know, how do you access that creativity? How do you access that sense of I can create, I have everything inside of me to generate? Yeah, and I'm just getting that this might be a little bit of a difficult transition into that generative space when you haven't really been in that for some time. So yeah, I just kind of feel like reading all of this to you. And then we'll start to pull some other cards here. Let's look at transition. Reflect on the past and dream of your future, but remember that straight ahead is your home. And Ashley writes, transition can be graceful. It can be full of ease. It can proceed as smoothly as the way you turn your head from side to side. Give yourself space to transition. Build your capacity for the flexibility that not knowing requires. That's gorgeous, because that's really what it is when it comes to actually generating and creating something. You have to be willing to work with something that is not yet born, something that is not yet created, something you don't yet know what it is. And that's true even like sexually, you know, like approaching this interaction with something else, someone else, and not knowing what's going to happen and how it's going to turn out. Okay, so that's really interesting. It's like a total shift out of the headspace and into this much more like instinctual area. And that takes like the rest, and the transitions for you could be about building your capacity for encountering those unknowns, the flexibility. Okay. When you have a sense of what is to come, but you have no physical evidence, allow yourself to be present with that. The unknown in between fertile void of the chrysalis is where you unbecome and become at the same time. So let go of the notion that times of transition have to be overwrought, difficult, or something to fear. There does not always have to be a breakdown before there's a breakthrough. Your bone, body, and energetic foundation support the building of new structures even as old ones crumble. And you can be present in the beautiful chaos of being in the middle. Do not halt the progress of transition. You can't stop the process midway through and expect to be pleased with what is before you. Reflect on the past and dream of the future, but remember that straight ahead is your home. Be present in the spaciousness. And there's some questions here for reflection, if that's something you're into. She suggests, what transition am I embarking upon in the middle of or coming through at the moment? How do I allow myself to be informed by the past during periods of transition? How much do I rely on envisioning the future or creating ambitious goals or dreams to move me forward? And how comfortable am I with being present? Where do I escape to the past or the future to relieve the discomfort in the present transitional moment? Okay, that's nice. That's really, really nice, because it does feel to me, Cancer, wherever you are in this transitional spectrum, maybe you're still more towards the rest side of things, and this idea of shifting down into this instinctual generative energy feels very far away. So you are just beginning the transition. Or Cancer, maybe you're coming out of the transition and you've been in this rest space for a really long time and you are ready. You are ready to get it moving. I would say somatically, like physically, focus on the transitional space from this head, neck, skull region as you transition down to the pelvis. Like if you just want to sit and sort of meditate with that for a moment, or just envision that transition happening, it's kind of a long road from here all the way down to the pelvis. And I would say, like, again, when you start feeling into your pelvic region, you're gonna know where you are on this transition spectrum. Like you're gonna be able to feel, okay, wow, I'm really not ready for that. And then it's like, okay, well then like stay up here and slowly make your way down as it feels comfortable. Or maybe when you start like dropping your awareness down into your pelvis, it feels like, yes, 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 let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. And so in that case, you might be coming out of this more restful transitional space and the pelvis might really be ready. But there's this sense of like readying your pelvic region for that for the capacity to be that flexible. Like now I'm getting images of just like actual human gestation or animal gestation. As this embryo grows into a larger creature, the pelvis has to actually be flexible enough to move and expand and allow that to happen. Like that's completely wild. So talk about expanding your capacity, and it happens gradually, slowly, and it creates a lot of tension and stress on the tissues to be able to do that. So there's something here about expanding the capacity is part of that transition space. So Cancer, we got to get into this now. I have some other decks with me. I've got the Fifth Spirit Tarot. I've got Octospamen. We got to get into this reading and see more specifically how these energies are showing up for you this spring. So if it's resonating so far and you want to see the full thing, you can view the whole reading along with us here in the shifting space. This is an online community of folks who love the shift readings every season and spend the season investigating them with me. So together we watch the shift readings. We watch them at the beginning, the middle, and the end point so that we can check in with how these shifts are progressing in real time as we live them through. And then at the end of the season, we can reflect back in hindsight and see what actually happened and how they actually played out. And usually there's some like wild clarity to be seen in that hindsight magic at the end of the season. So good. Anyway, that's the shifting space. There's so much more to it. So if you want to read more or learn more about it, you can click the link in the description below, and maybe I'll see you for the rest of this reading.